He owns and operates the Pack-A-Day podcast that airs 365 days a year with over 12 million views on YouTube. A new adventure begins. It's time for the Pack-A-Day radio show with Andy Herman on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
But can the receivers get far enough down the field? Rodgers in trouble. It's going to get there. He turned 32 yesterday. Does he have a vintage moment in him? In the end zone, it is caught for the win. Richard Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. A game ender for the Packers.
Welcome into the Pack-A-Day radio show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. That highlight, you already know it. Aaron Rodgers, Hail Mary against Detroit, courtesy of CBS. Tommy Wortz in for Andy Herman today. Why did we play that at the top of the hour? How could that possibly be tied in to today's news with the Green Bay Packers? Well, spoiler, it's really not. I actually have called a little bit of an audible today, and I had some topics that I was going to go over, but it's the day before we have a nice holiday weekend. Everyone's excited for the 4th of July tomorrow, and I saw a figure on Twitter that said we are now officially closer to the year 2050 than the year 2000, which, sorry if I had to be the one to break that to you, but I felt the same way as you did. And there was a little bit of a theme going on over the last few months now, talking about all quarter century teams. And so I decided that for a fun first topic here, we are going to go through my list. It's the correct list, but my list of the Green Bay Packers all quarter century team since 2000. And I cannot wait to hear the backlash on some of this. I do think I have the correct list. I did try to seriously put the best players, not a lot of personal picks in there. I wanted to be as objective as possible, but someone's going to be upset. So if you disagree with any of these along the way, Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line, 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. That is the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. Definitely text in if you call. I can get you on the other side of the break for sure as well, too. Bart Winkler is going to join the show at 8:20 as well. We got to sit down talk yesterday, so I did not end up talking about the all-quarter century team with him. That is a little more news-packed and opinion-based with Bart on how he feels about the Green Bay Packers this offseason and going into next year. But should be a fantastic show. Cannot wait. Let's just get right into it, right? And we play the Aaron Rodgers clip at the beginning, because if it is strictly from the year 2000 to the year 2025, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Packers all-century team. You're talking about a 10-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, the only Super Bowl the Packers have since the turn of the century. He was the MVP of that Super Bowl. He's the Packers' all-time leader in touchdowns, in which he has 475. He has the best interception rate, or lowest, I guess, interception rate of all time. He has the best quarterback rating of all time. He's actually also the most sacked quarterback of all time. But Aaron Rodgers, some of these seasons here, right? If you remember in 2020 with Aaron Rodgers, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Go back to 2011, another one, 45 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 2016, 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Even 2021, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Countless memories that you have with the guy, always involved in a game. His biggest knock, the NFC Championship games, the countless times that it felt like the Packers were coming up short, whether it was the Seahawks, the Falcons, the 49ers during that time. Yes, only one Super Bowl is rough. But honestly, when you're going down with it, top 7 quarterback all time, really probably should be top 5 quarterback all time as far as talent goes with the arm, one of the best to ever do it. He is the quarterback of the Packers all-century team. I don't think there's a debate. We get into the next position, the running backs here. And there was a couple that I thought of, right? Honorable mentions, not on this list, but how great was Ryan Grant for all those years? We had James Starks, such a valuable piece to that Super Bowl team specifically. That's why I wanted to put him in honorable mentions. Eddie Lacy, Rookie of the Year at one point. Everyone thought he was going to be amazing during that time. Unfortunately, that doesn't quite work out. But the two backs that I have, it's Amon Green, it's Aaron Jones. Amon Green, Packers all-time leading rusher, has to be on the list. He started with Green Bay in the year 2000, just fits so perfectly after 2 years in Seattle. He was in Seattle and had 329 career yards in Seattle. Then Green Bay gets him his first year in Green Bay, 1,100 yards. He has an 1883 season. In fact, from 2000 all the way to 2004, that's 5 straight seasons, over 1,000 yards in that time. He has 54 career rushing touchdowns for the Green Bay Packers. In 2003, 100 first downs. That's an insane number to think about right there. 100 times he carried the ball, got the first down. He actually had the highest approximate value. AV is kind of like the version of WAR, if you will, if you correlate it from baseball to football. He had the highest in all of football in that 2003 season. 1,883 yards, 15 touchdowns. Kind of shocking he wasn't an MVP at that time. It's probably a Peyton Manning year, if I had to guess, during that time. Amon Green, career rushing yards, 8,322. It's the most in Green Bay Packers history. And it's so perfect that he just starts exactly in the year 2000. 8 years with Green Bay. Easily the number one running back since the turn of the century. Number 2, we haven't said his name. It has to be him, Aaron Jones, right? Recently on the team. So versatile, able to be such a weapon out of the pass game during all those years with Aaron Rodgers. He spent 7 years in Green Bay, right? And he was plagued with injuries in the beginning part of his career. And then later on, you would realize he's going to miss. He's going to have a couple bumps and bruises along the way. And I know everyone, after he goes to Minnesota, it kind of felt like Aaron Jones, you couldn't hate him. You couldn't find a way to hate Aaron Jones during that time. He goes over to Minnesota. Well, the Packers really didn't want him, and then they replaced him with Josh Jacobs, and everyone's happy with Josh Jacobs currently right now on the Green Bay Packers. I think Aaron Jones is the second running back on this list as well. 5,940 career rushing yards, 45 touchdowns. That is just rushing. If you go receiving, 18 touchdowns, 2,076 yards. He's almost got 8,000 all-purpose yards during that time as well, too. And that was just in 7 years. Aaron Jones, 97 career games as a Green Bay Packer. 5,940 yards, 45 touchdowns. He's my number 2 running back. I think that those 3 were pretty chalk. I really do. Wide receiver gets a little interesting, too. But I think, again, I'd be shocked if you guys don't have the same 3 I have. Plenty of honorable mentions. Randall Cobb. I know. Randall Cobb did not make the list. I don't think he's in the same category as these 3. James Jones was one of my personal favorites to watch all that time. Loved watching James Jones. Greg Jennings, not on the list. I know. I do think he was the closest to cracking this list. But if I tell you Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, who wants Greg Jennings above any one of those 3? Anyone? Donald Driver, one of the best in Green Bay history, 4-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, spent his entire career in Green Bay, 10,000 yards, 61 touchdowns. Donald Driver, all-time human, too. So involved in the community, a smile that's infectious. Everyone loves Donald Driver. Now he's a pickleball champion or wherever he's doing now. He's really just one of the best to ever do it for the Green Bay Packers. And again, he comes in 1999. So if you took away that season, you have to take away 3 catches and 31 yards from him. Otherwise, from 2000 on, Donald Driver, the best to do it for the Green Bay Packers during that stretch. Next guy I have on the list, Jordy Nelson. Only one Pro Bowl for Jordy Nelson. Is that not shocking? I know Pro Bowls aren't really everything. He's got one AP second team All-Pro. He was a comeback player of the year back in 2016 after he missed the entire 2015 seasons. 9 years in Green Bay, 69 touchdowns. That's amazing. Led the league in touchdowns in 2016 in that comeback player of the year season. Has a 1,500-yard receiving season. Never got to 100, though. Never quite got to 100 receptions in a season. But Jordy Nelson, you can't talk about the 2000s without talking about Jordy Nelson during this time. And Davante Adams, who is really, I think, known more as being Aaron Rodgers' guy during this time. Another great stretch for the Packers. And a guy that a lot of people gave up on in the beginning part of his career. You remember the drop issues in 14 and 15. It seemed like this guy had stones for hands, but once he figured it out, boy, was he amazing. This stretch right here with Green Bay from 2018 to 2021. Those 4 seasons. 1386, 997, 1374, 1553. Those are his receiving yards during that season. That's 5,310 yards. He had 47 touchdowns in that stretch as well. That 997, by the way, in there, he missed four football games, played only 12 games that year. 47 touchdowns. He has 103 for his career. 73 are with the Green Bay Packers, near the tops all time. Davante Adams, the number 3 wide receiver on this list. At tight end, this one gets interesting. Because I have a couple of personal favorites that I loved at this position. Whether you were, on the lower end of this honorable mention, like a Bob Tonyan or Bubba Franks, Donald Lee, great times. I think it's Jermichael Finley. His peak, his top with the Green Bay Packers, right up there with any tight end we have seen. He spent 6 years in Green Bay, 2,785 yards, 20 touchdowns. He did have an 8-touchdown season back in 2011. Super Bowl champion on that team as well. Never made a Pro Bowl. I would have guessed he had one Pro Bowl in there as well too. But it's a position right now that plenty of guys coming in and out, right? We just heard the touchdown at the beginning, the Hail Mary, where Richard Rodgers caught it, right? I don't think he was going to be on anyone's list. Andrew Quarless, you remember him? I don't think he was going to be on anyone's list. Tight end was a tough one. There's a lot of names on there that seem to contribute season by season. But as far as consistency and being there for multiple years to be the guy, Jermichael Finley, when he was healthy, he was the guy at the tight end position, I think, during this time. And I think that that's the one that could be the most debated during this time. It's Pack-A-Day Radio Show live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tommy Wortz here with you in for Andy Herman. The offensive line, I left Chad Clifton off the list. That one hurt. That one stung. I wanted to give Chad Clifton some love. But as far as the tackles being David Bakhtiari, Mark Tauscher, I don't know how Chad Clifton fits on the list. Bakhtiari was insane for the time he was here. And I know it kind of ended poorly with Bakhtiari and with his injury and what was going on with David Bakhtiari during that time. A little bit of drama. He's Aaron's boy, whatever it is. But he was a stud. He has to be on this list. As far as all-pro caliber player, David Bakhtiari is the starting left tackle. Mark Tauscher at right tackle, I move over. Mark Tauscher, homegrown, Wisconsin guy, right? Comes in through the University of Wisconsin, gets drafted late round by the Packers, turns into an awesome career, and he wins a Super Bowl with the team. The guards, Josh Sitton, beast, absolute beast, all-pro caliber player as well during the time. And I put Elton Jenkins. I think he is the only current Packer on the team right now that I think is a part of the all quarter century team. Elton Jenkins, over TJ Lang, just by a hair. I know TJ Lang, a lot of love for him. But Jenkins spending his whole career here, all pro, versatile, all up and down the line. A lot of teams in the NFL would want Elton Jenkins right now. He's going to play center for the team this year too. And that means my center, I put Scott Wells. You put the center of the championship team, I think that's another one right there. That rounds out the offense. Aaron Rodgers, Amon Green, Aaron Jones, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, Jermichael Finley, and the offensive line of Bakhtiari, Tauscher, Sitton, Jenkins, Scott Wells in the center position. That's a stacked list. Stacked offense. I love that offense for the Green Bay Packers all-century team. Again, Nicolay Law fan talking text line. If you disagree with any of them, let me know, because I don't know who I would change if I had to. I did fib just a little bit because I wanted to get specifically interior defensive linemen for this one. I do have Kenny Clark. He's got 35 career sacks. Last year, bad taste in your mouth. He was injured most of the time. But again, another all-pro caliber player, Pro Bowler during his time in Green Bay. Got his second contract, absolutely got paid. I think he should be a part of this list. I went with a nose, right? Give me B.J. Raji. Who couldn't love when B.J. Raji was doing his shuffle? He's got the interception in the playoffs where he took that off of Jay Cutler, I believe. Might have been Caleb Haney, actually, now that I think about it. But B.J. Raji, icon status. Big guy, right in the middle on the defensive side. I think he needs to be on this all-century team too. He did retire early, left early, and that maybe left people wondering. But as far as interior guys, I really like what he does too. Edge rushers. This may be no controversy on the first one. Clay Matthews, he has to be on the list. And I think I've said how I've got a distaste for Clay Matthews just because I really wanted him to move inside at the end of his career, and he didn't want to. But you can't deny he gets robbed of a Rookie of the Year because of Brian Cushing, and Brian Cushing gets popped for PEDs right after. And Clay Matthews, he's second all-time in sacks. He's got more sacks for the Green Bay Packers than Reggie White had during the time, guys. He is absolute stud, needs to be on this list. This one maybe leaning a little bit into, I was such a big fan, Aaron Campman at the time. He did spend 8 years with the Green Bay Packers, and he has some great seasons during that time, including a 15.5 sack season. He has a 12 sack season, 06 and 07. Second team All-Pro twice during that time, two-time Pro Bowler the same years. I think Aaron Campman could be on this list. I think Preston Smith, when you look at his numbers, could be on this list. KGB could be on this list, but I'm not drafting humans like that. So I went with Aaron Campman. Those are my two edge rushers, Matthews and Campman. Middle linebacker has been kind of a weird position as well for the Green Bay Packers. And so I went A.J. Hawk and Nick Barnett. I mean, Blake Martinez had some good years in there. A lot of people like him. Edgerrin Cooper is actually the most excited I've been for a middle linebacker on the Green Bay Packers in quite some time. So I think that he should be considered on that list for the next quarter century when it comes up. But he obviously comes in too late. A.J. Hawk was maybe a little bit underwhelming for a 5th overall pick, but puts together a solid NFL career, now has a great media career as well to go with it. And Nick Barnett, another guy that just stepped in every time he needed to during that same stretch and was a stud when he came up. He was a stud. The cornerbacks, I went with 3 corners and a safety because I really couldn't figure out who I wanted to put at the second safety position. Charles Woodson, Jair Alexander, Tramon Williams. Tramon Williams has 30 career picks. Also, return game was very valuable during that time. Charles Woodson, Hall of Famer, no debate. Defensive Player of the Year, no debate. Has to be on this list. And Jair, again, should I have put Al Harris over Jair Alexander? I don't think so. Should I have put Sam Shields over Jair Alexander? I don't think so. And I wanted to put 4 defensive backs, and I'm not going to put Morgan Burnett or Clinton Dix over Jair Alexander. I don't think Micah Hyde deserved to be there over Jair Alexander. He was a stud the entire time here too. When he played, he was very valuable to this Green Bay Packers team. Obviously, now gone. The safety, Nick Collins. One of the best careers that didn't get finished. Unfortunately, had the neck injury during that time. Really a sad story with Nick Collins. But that pick 6 in the Super Bowl, unforgettable. Unforgettable to me. Core memory, jumping over the back end of the line right there to get in. Loved what we got out of Nick Collins during his time here. Kicker, Ryan Longwell. No, I'm kidding. It's Mason Crosby. Yes, 11th all-time in points. He's, countless field goals. Extra point percentage is perfect in the playoffs, right? He's one of the guys. He's one of the guys that you put all-time leading scorer in Packers history. Most games played in Packers history. He's got to be on the list. You'll hear him in about 40 minutes here on the show, too. Punter, I guess Tim Mastay. Just be the punter on the Super Bowl team and you get to go. Anyone else think any punters should be on that list? Pat O'Donnell? No? John Ryan? No? I don't think so. Here's the full list again. Aaron Rodgers, Amon Green, Aaron Jones, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, Jermichael Finley, David Bakhtiari, Mark Tauscher, Josh Sitton, Elton Jenkins, Scott Wells is the offense. Kenny Clark, B.J. Raji, Clay Matthews, Aaron Campman, A.J. Hawk, Nick Barnett, Charles Woodson, Tramon Williams, Jair Alexander, Nick Collins, Mason Crosby, Tim Mastay. That's the Packers all-quarter century team. It's 100% correct. Not a single one wrong on the list. Coming up, we're going to talk to Bart Winkler of the Bart Winkler Show on the Infinity Sports Network, previously of the Fan Milwaukee as well, too. Get his take on how the Green Bay Packers offseason and how their expectations should be very high for 2025. It is the Pack-A-Day Radio Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back to the Pack-A-Day Radio Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Back here now on the Pack-A-Day Radio Show, and joining the show now, fan favorite. You've heard his voice on these airwaves plenty of times. The people asked for it. I delivered. Bart Winkler
joining the Pack-A-Day radio show. Bart, how we doing today, my friend? Haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, Tommy, doing good. Just enjoying the worst week of the sports calendar where it's Bobby Bonilla Day, which is totally stupid. And then we get the hot dog eating contest, which is even dumber. So terrible week, but good to be on with you.
And before we talk any Packers, I guess we can bring it up. Like now it might be known as Damian Lillard Day. Every year for the next 5 years, $22 million heading his way. And Miles Turner, the newest member of the Bucks. Did you end up talking about it? I know you were saying national media hates when I talk about the Bucks, but they took over the sports world on July 1st.
It's very hard. To grace these airwaves most every night is such a treat again. But it's also very hard because throughout the country, Tommy, people get my show. And when I when I even just say, oh, yeah, I'm a Bucks fan, the hate mail flows in. So when there's an actual, like it was the actual top story the other day, and I have to talk about it, and yeah, people have been mean to me for 20 years, and it's not stopping no matter the platform.
Well, it was a crazy day for sure for the Milwaukee Bucks. No one really expecting that to happen. No one was ready for it. We were live on air here when everyone started freaking out. It was a crazy day for John Horst, for the Milwaukee Bucks specifically, and to drink a cup of Indiana Pacer tears. It tasted good yesterday. It tasted good for sure. Bart, it is the Pack-A-Day radio show, however, so we're going to talk some Green Bay Packers on this show. And this entire week, we've just been revisiting a lot with our guests. Andy's been out. He's in Spain during the 4th of July. Kind of seems a little backwards there. But Andy Herman has been gone. He has stuck me in this doldrum of a week about Packers news. So we've been revisiting just a lot of topics here to try to gauge interest and where you guys are at, our guests coming on. The Packers offseason, this offseason. If you had to give it a grade or a scale of a 1 to 10 kind of area, how did you feel the Packers attacked this offseason? Because it was a much more traditional offseason for the Green Bay Packers, it felt like, than it was 2 years ago, where they brought in some free agents and there were flashy names coming around. And this offseason, Green Bay really relied on, hey, we're going to draft and develop, and you guys are going to like it.
Yeah, I think, it is a more traditional offseason. You're right on that. The draft was fun, obviously, it being in Green Bay, and then the moment that Mark Murphy was able to create and hype up like a pro wrestler, getting golden in front of the crowd that was totally eating out of his hand was good. And I think that will be an impactful addition to the team. We'll see how the wide receiver room breaks out. I think for me, I'm at the same point where I was at the end of last season when it ended, is that this needs to be a big year for Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. And I don't think like this needs to be a big year for Jordan Love. I think he's going to be the quarterback for many years to come. I don't think that this needs to be a big year for Matt LaFleur. I don't know what he would have to do to even be on the hot seat next year. It needs to be a big year for them as a duo. So this is their third year as the starter and the coach. This is Jordan Love's 6th year here in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So I would like to see an improvement, and a big improvement. I think one of the feelings after last season ended was, Jordan Love was kind of banged up, and they lost to the Eagles. When you look back, it was a very winnable game, that game. But it also never felt like, just going into that week, it never felt like they were going to win. It was very winnable, but it never felt like they were going to win. If that year would have happened first, and then they would have gotten to a divisional game in the second year, they'd be Super Bowl. They'd be the sexy pick. But they went farther, and then they retreated a little bit, and Love's season wasn't as good as it was 2 years ago. But LaFleur, I don't want to say he needs to get to a Super Bowl. It's very hard to say that for anybody because getting to a Super Bowl is very hard. But LaFleur's been here for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's got his quarterback now. It's the second one, but he's been here most of the time that Jordan Love has. I would like to see that relationship really get the most out of each other. It did seem for a while like maybe LaFleur didn't fully trust Jordan Love, or he was calling the offense a different way when Love was hurt, when Love was healthy. This is a team that, with the quarterback you have, with the coach that you have, with the other pieces that you have, they should be contending for NFC championships. And so I think anything less than that really leads to a conversation. I don't know how stark of a conversation it needs to be, but I do think NFC championship has to be with what this team has been building towards. You drafted Jordan Love when you had Aaron Rodgers, still gave him another contract, won more MVPs. This team didn't draft Jordan Love in the first round 6 years ago to lose in the wild card round. So eventually they got to get to that point. And I think this year is the year that they got to get to that point.
We're joined by Bart Winkler here, the Bart Winkler Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You can hear him. Is it 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. right here in Milwaukee? That is the central time for your show, correct, Bart?
That's the central time, but you can also grab it any of the other 20 hours in a day on the podcast via the Odyssey app.
Very nice. Good plug there. Way to help me out on the reset. Well, and now you bring up the pressures here, and we've had this conversation earlier in the week, and really we've split it up into two questions, but you put them together in Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, and it sounds like you want the relationship to be a little more symbiotic, right? They feed off of each other. They both are able to elevate their status with each other during the time, but I got to ask then, if one of them has more pressure on them, if one of them needs that NFC championship game berth more than the other, which one are you leaning towards, Matt LaFleur or Jordan Love during this season?
I think it's Matt LaFleur. I think that it's more likely that Jordan Love in his Packers career gets to a Super Bowl without Matt LaFleur than it is Matt LaFleur gets to a Super Bowl without Jordan Love. Now, I don't think that that relationship is going to end. I don't think that the Packers are moving on from Matt LaFleur anytime soon. I also don't think they're moving on from Jordan Love anytime soon. But LaFleur has had now two different, and we're going to group Jordan Love as a franchise quarterback here, but two different cracks at this. With Aaron Rodgers, it was, I always called him like the co-manager of the team. I don't know that he was fully the coach. So I do think for LaFleur, what he came into and what he's got now are totally different. You're coaching Jordan Love. You're his coach. You had to manage the personality that was Aaron Rodgers and, do what you could get away with. So I do think it's different, but he's been there for a long time. And I've always had, some concerns about LaFleur in general, just the whole time. Some of the things I've said about him is it seems like he needs to fail at something first before he can succeed at it. I think he gets things wrong a lot of the times the first time in terms of game planning and decisions. I think there's some situations where this is something I've said, whether it's timeouts or strategy or play calling or whatever, if LaFleur could just use the click remote from that Adam Sandler movie and freeze time and go up to the booth and figure out what the right strategy was, he would get it. And he would come down, come back, do it. But in the moment, there's a lot of times where I don't trust the fourth down decision-making. I don't trust the play calling on fourth down. I don't trust the timeout usage. There's just a lot that I think in the moment, sometimes the moment feels too big. And if he had time to think about it, it would be better. This is why I always say that these coaches should practice game situations more and play Madden. But I think there's more pressure on LaFleur than there is on Jordan Love.
Being joined by Bart Winkler of the Bart Winkler Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You can find him live from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., otherwise on the free Odyssey app access, the Bart Winkler Show. Well, let's talk about Jordan Love then now here, Bart, because earlier in the week, we've been using this PFF article that we had from last month, ranking the 32 quarterbacks coming into next season for the NFL. And Jordan Love, I think I might be a little bit higher on him than most in the community, in the Packers community. And he was ranked at 13th on this list. And I thought that was pretty low for what Jordan Love has done, especially if we weigh into account he was injured the first half of last season. Well, in his first season, he really didn't get the keys to the Lambeau until the second half of the year. And Jordan Love, he's behind guys like Geno Smith and Dak Prescott on that list. And I thought he's done more than those two guys for sure. And I really think it's an unfair ranking. He should probably be at that back end. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback. We're not going to put any narrative out there like that. But, 8, 9, 10, like he should be in that consideration. Do you believe that he's properly ranked? Do you believe it's more of a measuring stick year for Jordan Love? Or do you think that the national media might be against Jordan Love a little bit more than, I thought during the time?
I think the fact that, he's making $55 million like some of these guys, I think he does get lumped in with like the Tua version of that where, okay, the team had to make this decision.
Trevor Lawrence, something like that.
Yeah, they're paying these guys. They're not a top 10 quarterback, but when you get in this position, do you like the guy? Yeah, then you got to pay him. You're kind of screwed in that regard. I think he's got the opportunity to be a top 10 quarterback. I think that, again, if his second year as a starter was his first year and then his first year was his second year, he would be in there because he was MVP caliber those final 8 games of the season for the most part. So there is a version of Jordan Love. There's a version of Jordan Love where you watch him and you're like, wow, who can do that? Wow, he made that throw. There's also, we've seen some boneheaded plays from Jordan Love too, where he's maybe tried too hard. And I think that needs to, again, be represented in the offense. Like, let Jordan Love make mistakes. Don't, you had Brett Favre, who was a freewheeling whatever. He didn't care.
Right.
You had Aaron Rodgers, who was like, I can't throw an interception or everyone in my inner circle will die. Like, don't step on the crack or you'll break your mother's back sort of situation with him. Jordan Love, just make mistakes, be risky, be more the gunslinger, because that's in him. He makes those kind of plays. He can be an artist with that. He can be somebody who improvises with that. I'd like to see more of that than just, being very cautious of the turnovers. If he's going to have a turnover, he's going to have a turnover. That's why you're trying to build up your defense. But I want to see him be at least allowed to have the space to make mistakes. Because if you can make mistakes, you can also, some of those insane throws that he's made, some of those, oh my God, I can't believe he threw that. And I can't believe that Jaden Reed caught that and stuff like that. I don't know that I would, if you rank him in top 10 right now, I think he's in the same space as a lot of these other guys.
Right. How elite is the quarterback position in the NFL even right now? Maybe that is just by default. You think he's near that 10th spot, but seriously, with the NFC especially, like, is Jaden Daniels already the best quarterback in the NFC? Is Jalen Hurts number 1 and he's number 2? Like, there's not a lot of quarterbacks in the NFC that are competing with Jordan Love, I think, right now for hands down better than him.
Yeah, I mean, the top 4 is pretty much some version of Mahomes and Allen and Lamar and Burrow.
Right.
And then I do think Jalen Hurts has definitely played his way into a top 5. And then who are you ranking him against? Justin Herbert, at times he's looked good. Playoffs bad.
He's a guy that I just think that we are told he is good. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen anything that makes me think Justin Herbert, absolute stud. He blew that playoff game against Jacksonville, right? That was really what the first thing you think about with him. And he's never a guy who's really considered in MVP conversations by any means. I think he's played pretty much at the exact same level as Jordan Love during this time.
Even Jaden Daniels, people very high on, but people were very high on CJ Stroud his first year. And then I think that, to look at that draft, Bryce Young played pretty well.
Yeah.
And you can compare those guys. So I think there's a big group of whatever your preference is, who you root for, where you live, from 6 to 15, I think is in that sort of mold. I think that he can do more on the Jaden Daniels side of creativity than a Jared Goff, but Jared Goff's also put together really consistent, good years in Detroit. So
yeah,
I don't know that Jordan Love is ever going to be a top 4 guy. I don't know that he's ever going to be Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, but that meme with the 3 dragon heads?
Yes.
And one looking so stupid. I think that he will be good enough that it's not like Brett Favre, like with these guys that tore their Achilles. It's like Tyrese and Tatum and Dame. Dame's in there too.
Yes.
But it's, I don't think it's going to be like, oh, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love was fine. I think he can play himself up to a way where he's in that conversation, but I don't know that he's ever like a 4-time MVP or a 3-time MVP or anything like that.
It doesn't happen very often.
Right.
It's not something that we should really be accustomed to in Wisconsin.
But there's like sometimes when you want someone to be good, you like project that out and hope and wish. We have actually seen moments where Jordan Love is like, oh, that's what a top quarterback does.
Right.
Well, that's how so it's in there. It is in there. He just needs to be more consistent. And again, I don't know. This is something that I feel like gets forgotten a lot, whether it's by us or on a bigger scale, is he played through a lot of injuries in 2024.
For sure.
So he was banged up and maybe that held him back. I don't want anything to hold him back. I don't want the injuries to hold him back. I don't want his coach to hold him back. I don't want the pressure of being the third guy in this lineage to hold him back. If he can just play like how we think he's capable of playing, I think he can be a top 10 quarterback pretty consistently.
Bart Winkler joining the Pack-A-Day radio show. Follow his show, The Bart Winkler Show, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. here on the Infinity Sports Network. You can listen on the same dial right here, 1250 a.m. or 105.7 FM, The Fan. Bart, yesterday what we talked about was optimism with the Green Bay Packers. And we've picked apart at, LaFleur and Jordan Love right now. But really, 2025 Green Bay Packers. What is something that you are optimistic about for the Green Bay Packers, whether it's a player, positional groups, coaching, like whatever you want to go with this angle, something that you feel that Packer fans should feel optimistic about heading into 2025?
I think just on the whole, I think this is going to be a playoff team. And I think that the prospects of winning the NFC North are maybe a little better than again, the national kind of phrasing would be. Chicago is going to be better, but you talk to Chicago fans and they always are like a couple years ahead of where they probably are. Chicago is not winning the NFC North. They could go to the playoffs as a wild card team. I probably have less because I'm a Caleb Williams guy. I think he's going to be good.
Okay.
I have more confidence in him than I do Ben Johnson. I don't know that Ben Johnson just automatically is a good coach.
Okay.
So we'll see about that. Minnesota, there's a lot of different things you hear about J.J. McCarthy. I tend to believe the more positive things. So I think that they will still be competitive. Detroit, I'm down on. I think they may have plateaued. I feel like they had their window to win a Super Bowl. I feel like they missed that. They're losing both coordinators. The Packers, like Detroit lost their coordinators. Bears have a new coach. Vikings have a new quarterback. The Packers have more consistency than some of these other teams. So I do feel like they might be slept on a little bit in terms of the NFC North. I like them to – I mean, it's a tough division. It's tough, and the schedule is going to be tougher overall for all of them. We're not having a 14 and 15 win team. We're not doing that. The games are going to be tougher. The Bears are probably going to take at least one, and that's going to suck again. But I like this team to have legitimate NFC championship, win the NFC North aspirations. It's all right in front of them. It's just a matter of what do they maximize to go back to that LaFleur and Jordan Love relationship. Do they get the best out of each other? So I am optimistic of their chances in the division. I like their offense. I think the tight ends have been improving. I think the wide receivers somehow, some way that will work itself out. I'm a big Josh Jacobs guy, although his career has been good, bad. So we might be on a bad. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But it's a lot of this just comes back to quarterback and coach. And so for these two guys, I think that good things are on the horizon if they get the best out of each other.
Yeah, that's what everyone is hoping for here in Wisconsin, indeed. Bart Winkler joining the Pack-A-Day radio show. Bart, thank you so much for jumping on today, my man. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Just remember the show. We're on at night, 9 o'clock most nights on the station, unless you got a West Coast Brewer game that you got the leadoff show for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually, the West Coast schedule is not that crazy this year. I remember when I was working across the street, and I mean, it felt like they just played in San Diego every other week. And I'm very grateful that we are no longer on that schedule. I think they have West Coast coming up this month. Not quite sure, but it hasn't been too bad. And plus, it doesn't even matter because then they're going to be like, hey, you got to do the Pack-A-Day radio show in the morning because Andy Herman doesn't want to be in America for the 4th of July. So, Bart, thank you so much.
Also, check out my YouTube channel. There's a lot of good 1250 memories on there.
Oh, okay. All right. Sweet. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that. Bart Winkler on YouTube. Bart Winkler on Blue Sky, of course, too. Bart Winkler Show, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. every weekday here on the Infinity Sports Network. Bart, enjoy the rest of your day, my man. Thank you so much for jumping on.
All right. Good to see you, Tommy. Thank you.
Good.
That is Bart Winkler of the Bart Winkler Show. Thanks again to him joining me yesterday. If you watched that on YouTube, I was wearing a different shirt. It's because it was recorded yesterday. That's why. Coming up, let's get to the final thought of the day presented by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Also, listen to the fan for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the one and only Adam Sandler and his You're My Best Friend tour live Sunday, October 5th at Pfizer Forum. Visit thefanmilwaukee.com for your chance to register to win a pair of tickets. Bart Winkler joined us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Welcome back to the Pack-A-Day radio show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tommy Wortz in for Andy Herman. Andy returns next week, Tuesday, so you got me one more day. No local programming tomorrow on the Fan, as the 4th of July, everyone having off over here. Hope everyone has a very safe, fun holiday during this long weekend for hopefully some of you as well, with the 4th of July landing on a Friday. That's awesome. Leadoff show today will be at Summerfest, so I will be hosting the leadoff show 1 hour before Brewers' first pitch against the New York Mets. That is immediately after Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's. He'll be live from Summerfest 2 to 5 today. And immediately after, 5 to 6, we'll do the leadoff show. Get you guys caught up for all things Milwaukee Brewers for the hour. Unfortunately, yesterday, Brewers split with the New York Mets. Game 1 looks awesome. Game 2, welcome to the big leagues, Jacob Mizorowski, right? Yeah. Drew Wagner will join the Mason Crosby Show today at 10 a.m. Make sure you guys tune in to the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. That'll come up immediately after the Pack-A-Day radio show. Mason Crosby, Mitch Thunder Nellis. Gonna have a fun day indeed. We went over the Packers all-quarter century team, and we decided that it was 100% correct. No one else had any other opinions on it. It was a perfect list from the jump. If you missed that team, it was at quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, of course. Where else would you put the man? Amon Green, Aaron Jones are the 2 running backs. Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams are your 3 receivers. Jermichael Finley at tight end. David Bakhtiari, Mark Tauscher are your tackles. Josh Sitton, Elton Jenkins, your guards. Scott Wells in the middle is the center. On the defensive side, it was Kenny Clark, B.J. Raji on the interior defense. On the edge rushers, we put Clay Matthews, Aaron Campman. Middle linebackers were A.J. Hawk and Nick Barnett. 3 corners and 1 safety, because I really couldn't decide on what safety I would have liked to have had as the second safety. We went Charles Woodson, Jair Alexander, Tremont Williams, Nick Collins. Kicker, Mason Crosby, I guess. Tim Mastay, the punter as well. You're the punter on the Super Bowl team. Yeah, why not? Put him on the list. Thanks again to Bart Winkler for jumping on the show. It was a great chat to talk with him. And he seems pretty high on Green Bay heading into next season. We had a whole week of guests this week where we talked to Mitch Nellis, Ryan Horvat, Javon Alford, and then, of course, Bart Winkler just today. All of them seemingly pretty high on this Green Bay Packers team heading in to 2025. And very common theme as well, a lot of uncertainty with Minnesota, the expectation of a decline with Detroit, and the expectation that, well, it sounds like the Chicago Bears are going to be better than they were last season. I understand. I haven't really laid out my expectations quite yet this week for the Green Bay Packers. And that's going to be a perfect prompt to get us to our Potawatomi Sportsbook final thought of the day.
You got to do some smart thinking.
It's time for Andy Herman's final thought of the day.
What are you thinking?
Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
What the hell were you thinking?
You're listening to the Pack-A-Day radio show on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan.
Potawatomi Sportsbook final thought of the day always concludes the Pack-A-Day radio show. Immediately after, don't forget, Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, 9 a.m. to 11 today. Should be a fun show. My expectations for the Green Bay Packers this season. I think the expectation is that they will finish second in the division and be a top wild card team heading into the playoffs. I'm not sold on saying that the Detroit Lions are going to be totally garbage. I understand they lose both their coordinators. I really don't necessarily think that Dan Campbell is a must-have head coach. You got to applaud the ability to motivate from the guy because the players seem to all love him and you would run through a brick wall for him. I am concerned that Kevin O'Connell is a good enough head coach to have J.J. McCarthy ready for the season as well, too. The Bears will be better. But I do think that this Green Bay Packers team has done something this whole quarter century of my lifetime. And that is draft, develop. That is trust and develop. That is acquire and develop. This is year 3 of Jordan Love. This is year 3 specifically of Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. It's his 6th season in the NFL. I think that what we are going to see out of Jordan Love will be a new unlocked version of the quarterback one in Green Bay. I have expectations for him to hit 30, 35 touchdowns this year, maybe throw 15 to 11 interceptions, somewhere along those lines. I expect Josh Jacobs to be a huge part of the offense as well. Very similar season to last year. And really the expectation that I think is the Green Bay Packers defense and Jeff Hafley solidifies himself as a head coaching candidate in the offseason because the Packers defense really elevates themselves after this season. You get a full year of Edgerrin Cooper. You get another year of developing the young edge rushers of Lucas Van Ness, Kingsley Enagbare. Hopefully Kenny Clark's expectations have increased after we have heard all the news and expectations that throughout the week on how he was injured and needs to be back to full strength for this season. I think I'm going to go 11-6, second in the division. I do think Detroit can still win 12 games with their roster. What they have as the duo of Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery in the backfield, Amon-Ra St. Brown, a top receiver in the league right now. And I do think Jared Goff and Jordan Love are very comparable quarterbacks. And I'm very high on Jordan Love. I think by default, I have to be very high on Jared Goff. 11-6, second in division, the top wild card in the NFC. Those are my expectations. After a week of hearing everyone else's, I finally give you mine for the Green Bay Packers. Coming up, it's the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, presented by Verizon, #1 network in Milwaukee. I'll be back with you guys on Monday one more time before Andy Herman returns from his voyage in Spain. It is the Pack a Day Radio Show live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Go, Pack, go.